You want to swing wildly at the internet like you've got the new pill in your hand, but you keep getting dead battered. Find the movement you want with NordVPN. They are our protection against terrifying cyber threats and wide-battered geo-blocks. NordVPN will help you get through any rights restrictions so you can watch all the cricket you want. We aren't always happy with the wickets we're on. Sometimes we need a change. NordVPN can switch your virtual location so your IP address is ready to cash in. So if you need to get around the internet's rules, or I suppose in our case laws, select NordVPN. They can help you watch a game on a cheaper stream in another country. Give NordVPN the ball and let them penetrate all your vast internet issues. Because if you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also receive a 20-gigabyte daily data voucher. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a big hitter is coming for you at nordvpn.com/KIMBER right now. NV Play's tools make cricket data accessible to everyone. They assisted me in making this and support many international cricketers. Access their software on their website for valuable insight.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 45 of the Crickpicks podcast. I'm Behram Qazi, who you can find at Def Mango.
Are you sure you're Behram Qazi? Because you don't look like Behram Qazi. You look like, I don't know, his weird cousin.
I'm the peeled Def Mango, Jarrod. That's what I am. And too much face, yes, and it's a shame that we're recording 3 in a row. 3 in a row, so you're going to be seeing this face for a bit. And, of course, we've got Estelle over here, as always, Estelle_Vasudevan, the number 1 on Twitter, and Jarrod Kimber, who's made himself very noticeable already, is here with us as well. Now, if you are new to the Crickpicks podcast, what we do over here is we take any generic cricket category and we draft the top 5 for that particular category. And
if
sometimes
if you're new to Crickpicks, this is the first and last time he's going to have this face.
Yeah. Oh, well, the first and third last time I'm going to have this face. But sometimes what we do on the show is that we combine to create a team. And if you've caught the last 2 Crickpicks episode, we first created a team which could defeat India in India 2012 onwards, and well, New Zealand have done that, so that was a very futile exercise.
We put Mitchell Santner in and Tim Southey as the gun batter, and we did it. We beat them.
Yeah, so that was definitely us jinxing India, but we couldn't have jinxed Australia after that. They were unbeaten at home from 93 to 2008 or something. So those 2 are already out, and the obvious direction to go after that was to create a team which can win a test series in the West Indies between 1974 and 1994, which is when they were unbeaten at home. And
so
guys,
I think you've got your dates wrong too, by the way.
I do? What are the dates?
Yeah. Because they lose to, I meant to tell you that when you had the stats, but they lose to India in 76, don't they? That's what starts the whole revolution.
Isn't that in India?
No, it was in the West Indies.
Oh, then I do have this wrong.
So there's that incredible chase that India play, and that's when Clive Lloyd basically goes, why are we picking our spinners? Let's just pick pace bowlers and bomb the shit out of everyone. And it does take a little while to come over, but I think it's probably more 76 to 95. And Australia beat them in 95. So that's kind of that reign. But yeah, I'm just pointing that out in case because if you make runs against, there is a particular player that someone will mention. And I'm going to have to mention that is playing against a different kind of West Indies team than everyone else is. But
yeah, now people who've seen this podcast enough will know exactly who that player is. But yeah, so 76 to 95, let's say that. And I mean, we've done this twice before, and we've never had this long a year span. So we get so many players at our disposal for this one, right? It is quite incredible. And that was one of the most fearsome teams of all time. So I wonder if we can even assemble a 12, which could potentially even threaten them.
All those things are true. There's some absolute great players who don't make this team just because they didn't play particularly well against the West Indies as well.
Yes.
So or they actually still play well against the West Indies, but there's a couple of other players who are just more useful. It's a very, very interesting one. And I look forward to how Estelle gets Brett Lee into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have first pick for this one. And if I was going to be biased, I could go a few different directions over here. But there's one player over here who should just be number 1 pick. There shouldn't be any, debate around it. I'm going to go Alan Border. He scored 746 runs in 9 test matches. He was averaging 796 runs in 10 test matches. He's averaging 53. He's got a ton in 550s, so very consistent run scorer. And with the ball, he's got 7 wickets at 28 apiece too. Now, very gritty character. And to play that West Indian side, you need someone to cop a few blows and kind of, stick it out there, really, and be defiant and gritty. So I feel like, he has to be there. He's someone who scored 11,000 runs, is it, in Test cricket? Something like that?
I think he makes runs more runs against them away than he does at home, is my memory. But he was incredible away, on those wickets and the way he played. But if you count what he did at home, you also get the 10-wicket haul. Yes. Against the West Indies that he took. So he becomes more useful against them, I suppose, in that way. But yeah, he got hit in the head maybe as much as any cricketer ever had, if we're being honest. And in the days of pretty poor helmets as well, I have no idea if that has anything to do with his current Parkinson's or whatever. But you go back and you watch that footage, it is literally just Alan Border being hit again and again. And he just never backed down, right? And that's you talk to a lot of the cricketers in those days and they were just like, we didn't want it. We didn't want to just be hit over and over again. And Alan Border never looked at cricket that way. And he was an incredibly skillful batter as well, but he wasn't very elegant. So there are some other players far more elegant than him that probably, stick out a little bit more. But what a player he was. And what was his actual average in the West Indies?
53. So if he's averaging 53 versus those bowlers, all those fast bowlers, right? Holding, Malcolm Marshall, Joel Garner, Andy Roberts. That's very, very impressive, which is why I couldn't look past him. And you know what? It isn't inflated by one knock. He has 1 ton and 550s across 10 games. So that is a good return.
There was one test match where I think he made, I don't know if he made 100 in that test match, but he made 2 huge scores back to back and just kept Australia in the game. Yeah, just phenomenal. I'm not sure I would have had him at number 1. But he's not a terrible number 1, I don't think at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think he exemplifies true grit, which is why I had him at number 1. And I mean, like I said, there's some really fun cricketers in this list, which I hope I get the opportunity to pick. But I thought I'd just be objective for this one time. All right, Estelle.
Okay, my one, right? I will go with Sunny Gavaskar.
There we go. She didn't waste any time, Jarrod. Instantly jumped on the opportunity.
So I will allow her to speak, and then I will give my rebuttal in a moment.
Yes, because the description I was given of this Crickpicks was 1974 to 94, and he's made runs in the 76 series. One of the best opening batters, as we picked it up in one of our previous episodes as well. So I think he's a good pick for a team that could beat West Indies in the West Indies.
I mean, we can count the 76 series, can we not?
You can if you want.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys emotionally, how you handle it.
If you
What did
do
he do in
count
1980? What did he do in 1983 when the team was fully formed? I made it 100, and I don't think scored over 20 in any of the other innings, if I'm remembering correctly. When the team was the West Indies, he was not the player. I've said this before. His record is underappreciated in every other factor of his cricket, and his record against the West Indies is completely overblown when you actually look at where he made his runs and when he made his runs against them. I didn't have him as either of my openers, and I knew one of you would pick him. So Behram didn't go.
I didn't. I remembered this, Jarrod. I was like, I don't want to get grilled on this very thing once again. But to be fair to Estelle, if we count the 76 series, which technically, if you really think about it, shouldn't be counted, but if we do, he has 3 test stuns and a 50 in 9 test matches, and he's still averaging 42. So he's not terrible.
How about this? It's actually quite interesting when you think about it. He is in some ways the 3 players who really change West Indies cricket from the outside. Jeff Thomson, Dennis Lillee, and Sunil Gavaskar. Because the first 2 was when Clive Lloyd was like, well, we've got bowlers like this. Why don't we just try all of our bowlers like this? And the second thing is that, Gavaskar was, and I know he wasn't the only one. There were lots of guys who made their runs in that series. But when you look at it from that perspective, just how brilliant he was, I think they were like, we can't beat this guy if we play our spinners. He's so much better than any spin bowlers we are going to be able to come up against. So I think that's fair. But just to go through the 83 tour, 20, 0, 1, 32, 147 not out, 2, 19, 18, and 1. So when they were
the
fully
not out
assembled,
helps him. The
not out
really
actually helps that average.
Average of
quite a bit.
30, right?
Yeah. So it's a tough one. And this is the part of the problem is if this was modern day cricket, chances are Gavaskar would have just gone. Like, it's weird that he goes in 76 and they don't go again till 83, right? Like, there is... Cricketers didn't tour as much in those days. There weren't as many tours. They didn't go on all the tours. Do you know what I mean? There's all these different factors that we sometimes have to put in. I don't think, though, even if you pick Gavaskar, it's not as if there are two other great openers, because basically that is where openers went to die. There is one very obvious pick, and there's another one who I think is on the bubble. But it isn't like there are, like I think you can still make a claim that he gets in. I would definitely never, ever have had him as my second pick in this draft. I can't believe you guys have left off the most obvious player already.
Yeah. I mean, there is an opener who's done better than Gavaskar, but well, 630 runs in the 9 test matches if we count 76, and he's still averaging 42. So I'm going to give Estelle that leeway, but yeah, he wasn't my opener either. Anyway, she's done with her pick, Jarrod.
All right, should we now pick the person who should have been number one and you guys were all pissing about? And Behram, for the first time ever, decided to not go nationalistic. And in that, he skipped the obvious number one pick, which is Imran Khan, who batted quite well at times in the West Indies. But what was his bowling average, like 23 or something? Won
25.
A test match. 25, was it?
Yeah.
Won a test match on his own at one stage against, in 88, which drew the series. So the West Indies only have one series they don't win, and Imran Khan is the difference in that match by a huge amount. Just a phenomenal cricketer in that period of time, and probably one of the few cricketers that the West Indies would have picked. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like they would have just picked Imran Khan, and I think Alan Border is incredible, and I think Gavaskar certainly has the numbers, but Imran Khan for me is the most important cricketer of that period. And if I'm building a side to beat the West Indies, I start with Imran Khan and I build around him.
Can't believe I botched that, because I did have him very high on my list, but I was like, man, can I really look past Border over here? And I mean, the numbers, like,
what's his batting numbers against the West Indies?
He's scored 305 runs in 8 test matches in the West Indies. He's averaging 21.78. He doesn't have a 50 handy. Though. Yeah, doesn't have a 50, which means that he'll always get you 20 to 30 runs. And, the bowling is quite phenomenal. 8 test matches, 48 wickets at 25 apiece. And then you've also mentioned that test in the 88 series. So, yeah, I mean, he was definitely going to make this team, but I went for Border ahead of him.
I just made a video on India losing, and in it I talk about the West Indies losses and Australia's losses. And there actually aren't that many times that the West Indies and Australia lost a test match where like it was a legitimate match, as in it wasn't a dead rubber, or they didn't have injuries, or World Series cricket wasn't do you know what I mean? Like everywhere you go, Imran Khan is one of the few times where they legitimately went up against a team that was really, really good, and Imran Khan forced his will on that match and changed where it was. And I think they won as well in 77, but I think he took a 4-4 in 77. I don't think he had as much impact on that particular one.
Either way, even though I missed out on him and you picked him, I think you spoke to him better. So I don't feel bad about this, right? You've done Imran's performances in the West Indies justice, and that's what we do in this show.
Let's hope so. I don't know what I have next. I suppose I could pick any direction I want here. So we've got an opener, a number 4, and like a number 7, I suppose, in this lineup. I will go Richard Hadlee next.
Yeah, quite safe.
Yeah, I know he made 100 against the West Indies in New Zealand, but that was the test match when they stopped trying. Famously, I don't even know if Richard Hadlee, a man who loves his numbers more than anyone ever has, really takes a lot of pride in that particular one. But he was, just a phenomenal cricketer. And again, he gives you a little bit of batting in that the only question I would have is he didn't play all that much in the West Indies. In fact, New Zealand West Indies don't play each other all that much, if I remember correctly, going back into the history of those two partnerships. But he did take 51 wickets in 10 matches at 22 against them, all things considered. But he only played sparingly in the West Indies, sadly. But he was just, and you get, as I said, a little bit of batting there as well. I just think he's an automatic pick.
Yeah, I mean, I had him in my starting 12 as well. He's only played 4 test matches, but, 15 wickets at 27.26 is not Richard Hadlee numbers, right? Like, it's 5 runs more per wicket than Hadlee overall averaged. But he's also got some runs. So he scored 137 runs at 22.83. So that gives us some depth with the bat, which I think will be very necessary when you're up against the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse or whatever.
Yeah, there's actually, I mean, you guys will go in your direction, but there's a couple of there's about 2 or 3 other batting options, like, bowlers who can bat options, which means that at the very least, I don't think it mattered against West Indies because, like, if Imran didn't make runs against the West Indies, chances are, like, some of these other guys won't, but it gives you something, right? At least it gave you a battering ram for a couple of overs.
Absolutely. So I think that's a solid start. You've gone for Imran and Hadlee, and practically you've won this Crickpicks already, but all right, Estelle, pick number 2 for you.
Okay, so I will go with another opener, Gooch.
Okay.
So that I'm assuming that was the other obvious opener that you guys were talking about.
Yep.
I had him and another one of his countrymen.
And he made runs from 81 to 1990, right? Where that was the time period where he traveled to the West Indies. 800 plus runs at an average of 40 and 200 650. So I think that's a pretty good record for him.
I think
fantastic.
Gooch is, it's funny, a lot of players have asked me, a lot of English people have asked me, but former players, if Gooch is in my top 50 batters of all time. And I don't think he's going to quite make it, but he's very, very close, despite the fact that he doesn't average very high in Test cricket at all. But a lot of the reputation is based on the fact that he just went against the West Indies and was so brilliant so consistently in a period that no one else really did that. And I think a huge amount of his reputation comes from that exact skill set and everything that he managed to do there. So, he's in there. The other opener, which we can mention later, but I thought the other opener ahead of Gavaskar is Mark Taylor, who in that period was, I just think he was a better player of top-end pace than Gavaskar was. And I think he made quite a few runs in 91 and 95. Struggled, like a few of the Australians, he struggled a bit more against the West Indies at home than he did away. But he was a very interesting one. But I think Gooch is ahead of Taylor anyway on that list.
Yeah, no, I looked at his numbers and they were phenomenal. 11 test matches in that period in the West Indies, by the way. And he scored 864 runs at 41.14, which is very, very healthy. And you add 2 tons and 650s to the list and it's, screams consistency. So this isn't like a flash in the pan batter that once he'll, score runs, he'll go big. No, he's getting consistent runs. And, that's what you said, Jarrod. That's basically a lot of his reputation, what it's built on, is the fact that he scored a lot of runs in the West Indies. So a good recovery, Estelle, I would say, after Sunny Gavaskar. It's funny how Jarrod gave you a disclaimer.
Not a bad
Jarrod gave you a disclaimer.
When you consider the other option, it's
a bad pick if you pick it at number 2.
Okay. Fine. Okay. I'll take that. But it's not a bad pick as the other opener, right?
There aren't masses of openers because they just destroyed them, right? Like that's why Gooch's record and to be fair, a little bit of Mark Taylor's records are so incredible because they just destroyed openers. Like it didn't matter which generation you went up against. I would say that probably the better generation with the new ball might even be Walsh and Ambrose than it was Holding and Marshall, right? Like. And there's nothing to pick between those ones. Those are still both absolutely brilliant new ball combinations. Like it was just shit to bat up top.
So we've got the Sunny Gooch opening the batting, right? That's a phrase I never thought I would say. But anyway, we've got 2 openers. We've got a number 4 batter and we've got Imran and Hadlee, right, Jarrod?
Yep.
That's looking like a very strong team. I think I know what direction I'm going for. So I'm going to give us another one of those great all-rounders of that generation who's going to give us something with the bat and something with the ball. Let's go Kapil Dev. 35 wickets in 9 test matches in the West Indies at 23 apiece. So he's averaging better than Imran and Hadlee in the West Indies, which is, worth some consideration. And he's also averaging better with the bat. He scored 345 runs at 28.75 and he's got 100 and a half century in the West Indies. And I mean, if you got 3 of those guys together, odds are you will give the West Indies a run for their money at home.
Yeah, I probably should add Kapil ahead of Hadlee, but there's not much between either of them. Like either way, you're getting an absolute goat in that situation. But yeah, This is a very, very safe pick. Could have gone maybe slightly higher in this list as well. Probably because you have Imran and Hadlee. Like, it's like there's a bit of a... They're kind of all the same. And the only thing I would say is, if you're going up against the West Indies, do you want Hadlee and Kapil to both bowl? Only because they're so similar. And probably that might make it a little bit trickier for us with the rest of the with the bowling lineup a little bit, and who we get next, because I don't think you can have any too much. But it does mean that you have this incredible all-round core to your side, so there's so much flexibility there, right?
Yeah, they bat deep, and the bowling is also really good. All of those guys are averaging under 28 with the ball. I think it's looking nice right now. Here's when I do a Behram. It's time. It's time for a hot pick. And,
Jared, can I guess?
You will appreciate this. Jared, you will appreciate this, for sure.
Can I guess what your hot pick is?
Yeah.
So it should be, if it's going to be a hot pick, it's clearly going to be a Pakistani.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
It should be a Pakistani bowler, but this is where I think you might pick a Pakistani batter.
I'm going for a Pakistani batter.
Who didn't who didn't even have a very good career, but weirdly, a little bit like Gooch, overachieved against this one team.
Yes, absolutely. So he's a batting all-rounder. I'm going with the brother of Rambo, Wasim Raja, left-handed bat, so that gives us something. He's played 5... Okay, hear me out, all right? He's played 5 test matches in the West Indies. He scored 517 runs at 57.44, right? In 57 tests overall, he had scored 2,812 runs at an average of 36. So that's like fairly okay. But he scored nearly a third of his runs versus the West Indies, home and away. The average
he only ever made runs
versus...
against West Indies and India. He never made runs against any other team.
Yeah. I mean, his average remained the same versus the West Indies and Pakistan as well. Just like it's 57.43, so a decimal point below that. And I mean, he got 105 50s in those 5 test matches versus the West Indies. And he's got 7 wickets as well at less than 19 apiece with his leg break bowling. I think Wasim Raja is giving us a lot, of utility. And I mean, I know I'm not winning this anymore, but I really wanted this pick, and I'm happy that I've got it.
What I don't understand is, why would you pick him now? Like, you could have just picked him as your last pick. Like, you've just
I thought maybe option. I actually thought you might have him on your list.
No, I've got him as a bit. I had Gavaskar and Wasim Raja as my explainers, because I figured that one of you would pick Gavaskar, and that Wasim might come up, or should, at the very least, we should be talking about him. The issue
the more talented Raja, according to you, or the lesser of the two?
No, he's the better Raja. But although he's still someone with poor numbers, like I think both the Rajas were actually really good cricketers, but their numbers don't quite stack up. But good, better hair. His brother probably wins that one, doesn't he? But the issue I have is that 77 tour is the only tour he makes. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go back and you have a look, the West Indies weren't fully assembled at that point. They were still picking spinners, for instance. I think Van Bernholder plays in that series as well. He was like a medium pacer. I can't remember if there was another one as well. But I remember when I wrote my book, it shocked me how long it takes the West Indies to actually start to assemble. So there's this whole thing of like, Australia bounced them out and Sunil Gavaskar embarrasses them and they go to 4 quicks. And then you look at all the scorecards and you're like, no, they didn't. They kept picking one spinner. They had medium paces. They had like all-rounders. As I said, I can't remember if Van Burn was, but I think Bernard Julian was like an all-rounder type player, in the side to help. And so that 77 to is kind of like halfway between where they don't fully commit. And I think Wasim Raja's stats hold up okay in that series, as in he still does it against, I want to say, Garner, Croft, and Roberts in one game. I think he makes runs against all 3 of them. There is a spinner in that side as well, but I think it's those 3. But there is the test. I think Pakistan win is a pretty ordinary bowling lineup compared to everything that's about to come. So not all the runs he made in that series are next level tier. And I just think that there are some other players who went up against much better West Indies bowling attacks that have slightly worse averages that go up, that deserve to be higher. Where do you bat him, by the way? That's the next question.
bat him at 5 or 6. Our keeper is probably batting at 8 in this game or 9, right?
I don't
because
know.
of all the all-rounders.
Depends
There is one really good keeper in there as well, actually. But yeah, I mean, look, sure, only one series, 5 test matches, but if he's scoring 570 runs at 57.44, and if he's played 11 tests versus West Indies overall, and that average does not drop, it
I
remains
like the
same.
fact that it's home and away.
Yeah.
I get that's the bit I do like about his
Exactly.
record more than anything else. But
And it's-
I just think that I just thought there was a better number 5 option available to us.
Fair.
Who
It could be
who
a
also
12th
did
man.
very well.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. I mean,
but you know,
yeah.
he scored nearly a third of his runs versus the
It's
West
ridiculous.
Indies.
It's
It is
ridiculous
crazy.
numbers. It really is.
So-
Like, I don't know how you finish a career like that. Like, I remember when I was doing Death for a Gentleman, I met this Pakistani businessman who was going to help fund the movie. And he's like, I'll help fund this movie, but Jarrod, I want you specifically to do another movie afterwards. And I was like, great. What is it? And he's like, Wasim Raja. I went, you what now? And I was like, I kind of got it because there's this whole generation of guys who grew up in the like 70s and 80s in Pakistan who was like, that was their favorite player, but no one ever talks about him anymore, right? Like he's just disappeared from the conversation completely.
He's unfortunately also disappeared from this world. So rest in peace to Wasim
Yes.
Raja. And I think Estelle, you are up with your, what is it, third pick? Yep.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm kind of tempted. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to do a Behram and pick someone who did really well in one series,
Okay.
and a Pakistani.
Interesting.
So I will go with Waqar Younis.
Ooh, okay. That's not bad. We needed another
He
fast bowler.
has 19 wickets in 3 test matches. Got a great, has a really great strike rate. And I think that kind of attacking option was something that you wanted against that West Indies batting lineup, right? So I think he would have been a good fit, especially because we've got like a couple of fast bowling all-rounders as well.
Yeah. Different kind of fast bowler too, right? And I mean, yes, Wasim, you'd probably take him over Waqar on most occasions, but on this particular instance, like you'd have to go Waqar over Wasim because Wasim's record in that period versus the West Indies is not that great.
Isn't it?
It's not that great. It gets better
It's
later
all
on.
right, yeah.
Wasim averages 23 against the West Indies everywhere, doesn't he?
33 in West Indies.
Yeah, and he
Yeah, in
struggles
that
a little
period,
bit more.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would still be tempted to have both of them. I don't know if we need both of them, but I like the idea of Imran, Waqar, and Wasim because I think they back up the other Kapil and Hadlee quite well. Like you've now got a really good combination of different kinds of seamers there available for you. So I like that.
What average did Waqar have in the West Indies in that period in those 3 tests?
Let me see.
Isn't it like 4 to 17 or something or 16 or
Must
something
be
ridiculous?
something like that. Has to.
Averaging 20, strike rate of 31.
Yeah,
That is quite insane.
Yeah, no, he was brilliant. I had him on my list. There's no issues there. That's perfect. All right.
2 picks for you, Jarrod.
I have 2 picks. I am going to go Amarnath.
Okay.
There aren't many
Yeah.
top order players who made runs, and he actually has a good record. And unlike this is where I was going with the Gavaskar thing before as well. Like I think his record holds up a lot more when you look at the 1983 tour. And what Mahinda Amarnath does in that particular one. I don't think his batting is I can't find it now, but I don't think his batting record is ridiculous against them. But there aren't really other number 3s. But if you look at him in the West Indies, I know a lot of the runs are from 1976 as well, but he makes 877 runs at 54. And if you just go by series, he says not being able to find this at the moment. But if you just go by series, he comes back in 1983 and he makes 598 runs at 66.
Wow.
Right. Now, we've just said that Sunil Gavaskar came back in 1983, made 100 and never passed 30. Right. That's a big difference. And so I think, again, a little bit overlooked as a player overall. But there's also I don't think there's an obvious number 3 choice outside of that, unless you go with Greg Chappell, who missed all those series in the West Indies. So we can pick Greg Chappell, but he didn't play. Like he missed 2, well, at least I think 1 or 2 series where he should have been in the West Indies. And then when he did go, didn't make any runs.
Another contender might be David Gower.
David Gower's not a 3 though, is he? And you
He could be a 3.
Is he? Where did he bat in his career, David Gower?
I think he's batted a few times at number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
4,
not
5, isn't
complaining. I think Amarnath is the better pick over here, but he's the only other guy who comes to mind.
Yeah, David Gower is the person we should have picked at number 5, but you picked up Wasim Raja. So I don't know if you're the person to be bringing this up right at the moment. Let me have a look. Gower. Oh yeah, I mean, Gower played the majority at 4 and 5, but he
4 or
certainly
5,
played
yeah.
at 3. But I think Amarnath is a number 3. I think he played a lot at number 3 as well. And I did check that just to make sure as well. So yeah, I'm going to go with him. I think he's kind of forgotten in the whole Gavaskar myth is that Amarnath was better. I think in that period when it was really, really tough. So I've got him at number 3.
And now what is our team looking like before you pick your next guy?
Yeah, so we have Gooch, Gavaskar, Amarnath, Border, Wasim Raja, no one at 6 at the moment probably, but then we have Imran Khan, Hadlee, Waqar Younis.
Not bad.
So I'm just going to put Alex Stewart in.
So
as
there
our
was
wicketkeeper.
another wicketkeeper who had done really well over there.
Give it to me. Who's the other wicketkeeper?
Rod Marsh.
So what's Rod Marsh's record?
He scored. Oh well, I probably had the filter wrong, so I
Yeah.
can't say for sure. But
I don't see
in-
Rod Marsh at all.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, he doesn't.
Isn't
count.
it Alan Knott who had done okay? There's no one who's really done that well, right?
Let me see when Rod Marsh played these test matches, because if it's like 1974, then he doesn't qualify. And that's on me for not keeping my eyes open when I was looking at West Indies.
I
Did
would have
Stewart
thought-
keep during that period?
I mean, he kept
'Cause
on
he-
and off his whole time, didn't
Yeah.
he? So I kind of figured. So what was that? I've now lost my batting numbers
Yeah.
for some reason.
So-
What was
so,
Alex
okay.
Stewart's record?
I don't know what his record is, but
Alex
Rod Marsh in 1973 has 297 runs in 7 innings at 49.5, and he's got
Yeah.
350s.
So
So
that's-
73 doesn't count. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stewart is 647 at 40.43, 200s.
Yeah, and I
But
remember.
I don't think he kept.
Yeah, we'd have to have a look if he kept. He must have kept in a couple of those test matches. He certainly kept in the West Indies because I've seen him keep
Yeah.
in the West Indies, but he might have kept in the West Indies later into his career. Yeah, I mean, I just saw Alex Stewart was the obvious one. Most wicket keepers
Yeah.
went over there and just didn't last more than a handful of balls. And also it allows us to have another proper specialist batter at number 6.
Yeah.
That does actually save us some blemishes.
But yeah, I mean, whether he kept specifically in the West Indies or not at that period, I'm not 100% sure. Just because the amount of different times he did and didn't wicket keep is still to me like I've got to do a video on Alex Stewart because I think he's had one of the weirdest careers of any player ever. It really is such a bizarre career that he had all the way through. But he keeps he kept 81 matches. And let's just see if we can see here.
When he kept in the West Indies, yeah, we could probably check that.
Yeah, I've just got it coming up now. So he keeps in 81 matches and he keeps in the West Indies in 1998. Only kept in one test. I don't know why. I must have seen that test.
It's fine. I think he still qualifies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he starts keeping in 1991, right? And he keeps about 15 times by the time at the end of their reign. So he was a wicket keeper in that point. I've got no issue there. But I just didn't think there was another great option. I didn't see Rod Marsh because I had obviously slightly different filters to you. Who was the third wicket keeper that was another option?
Does
No,
Rod
he
Marsh
doesn't
qualify too?
He
Yeah,
doesn't qualify.
it's,
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Alan Knott
Yeah. Oh, Alan Knott.
has
So I'll get-
average of 45. Yeah.
Oh,
did
wow.
he? How many matches was that?
5 matches, 365 runs, 350s.
Wow.
Pretty good. I could have gone
And
him
what-
as well. I don't think
what
he's
year
good
was
enough to
this?
bat 6 in this side for Alan Knott.
Unless we play Stewart as like a specialist bat.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I think in my side, because I have Imran, or in our side, I should say, because we have Imran, Kapil, and Hadlee, I want them to be 7, 8, 9. So I want someone at number 6 who is still a specialist with the bat. And Alan Knott was a very good player with the bat, but he wasn't anywhere near Alex Stewart's level from that.
And
But
what are Stewart's batting numbers in that period in the West Indies?
I've just lost my whole page, so
Hang on.
someone will have to help me with that.
I
know
think
what I did.
Estelle's
I
on
must
it.
Deleted it somehow.
No, wait, I have it. Yeah.
She has
So
it.
9 matches, 647 runs, averaging 40, 200s, 250s.
Yeah.
That's all right then. If he was keeping in Test cricket at the time where West Indies' reign was still alive, then I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
All right. I think you're done, Jarrod. All four picks have been complete now. No?
I am. I say it's incredible to go from Imran Khan, Richard Hadlee to Amarnath and Alex Stewart. I really took a detour there.
All right, Estelle,
Okay,
last
who
pick
do we
for you
need?
then.
Who do we need?
Spinner.
Yeah. And if you don't want to go there, I've got a really good one, so you can just do whatever you want to do.
Like, there's no other, like, I would have to pick a 12th, right? Like,
It would
I mean,
either
the
be a
spinner-
spinner or a 12th, and the spinner might be the 12th.
Exactly. In this
Yeah.
series, the spinner
Yeah.
could very well be the 12th.
I would probably play the spinner looking at our current lineup, but you could do that as well.
Maybe you could give us some more batting strength who we could make 12th man.
Another
just
specialist
in
batter
case.
as well,
Yeah.
yeah.
another
could
specialist
work.
batter. Let
We
me
have
see.
so much bowling.
Yeah, we do. The thing is, because my filter said 74,
Well, I mean, there was one batter who Jarrod wanted to play at 5 before I picked Wasim Raja, who you could go for.
I can't remember what he said now.
There's also, I can't believe that I'm having to say this to Estelle. There are a couple
Okay.
of brothers that I think you might have forgotten.
So you want me to pick one of them as a 12th man, right?
I'm not even saying you have to, but I'm saying there are
giving
two
you
brothers
ideas.
who I think have
Uh-huh.
pretty good claims to be in this side as well.
Okay, fine. I'll do it. It's easy. I'll go with Mark Waugh.
Okay.
Because Mark Waugh's got 5 games, 8 innings, 367 runs, averaging 61, 100 to
Okay.
50. So I think in 8 innings, 3 times he's crossed 50. So that's a pretty good record, right?
Bye-bye, Sunny G. You'll be carrying the drinks.
Who's opening?
No, Mark
He
will have to be
will.
12th, surely.
Oh, really? Mark Waugh opens with Gooch, no?
Come on.
Not in a test match.
That's also true.
And though maybe in this baseball theory, we're just like, fuck it, let's open with Mark Waugh. He would love
Yeah.
to do it, by the way. I think he would have been like in those days, if he'd asked him to do it, he would have been like, piss off. I think if you went to him now, he'd be like, yeah, I'll have a go.
Start with some chaos. But yeah, I think it's a good 12th man. And those are phenomenal numbers. He's
Yeah.
averaging over 60. That's crazy. That's insane. What year was this?
Was it the
91.
91 tour? Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Did he play on the 95 tour?
I don't think so.
I think he was injured. So I don't think he played. What was his record against them in that period? That was because 91's kind of like the beginning of his career, isn't it? Because he sort of knocked Dean Jones out of the side around that point. Partly because they thought he could be a better player against like high end pace. I think was one of the many reasons. Obviously the all round skill played a part.
Yeah,
as
he's
well.
only played in that 91 series.
It was just 91. So if you think about it, like if we now have Borders bowling and we have Mark Waugh's bowling potentially available to us in the team.
Wasim Raja's bowling.
Oh, and Wasim Raja. Yeah, I forgot him because I wanted to.
Do we say bye-bye Wasim Raja at this point?
Well, you never know. We shall see, right? Okay, so you guys have made it very easy for me. There were only a handful of spinners to choose from. And I don't know much about this cricketer, Jarrod. You'll have to fill me in. But Bruce Yardley has a really, really good record in the West Indies.
How are you picking Bruce Yardley over Abdul
he's got-
Qadir? Your
he's got-
Pakistani picks have gone so fucking batshit left field here.
I mean, look at his record, right? He's got 15 wickets in 5 test matches, 25 apiece. And he's got runs as well with the bat.
You're going to make
He
me look up
averaged
fucking
He averaged
Bruce Yardley.
29.42 in 9 innings in the West Indies, including a 74 with the bat. That is like, pretty decent. That's more than what Kapil is averaging in the West Indies. And now his bowling average overall is like 31. It's gone down to 25 in the West Indies. And his entire career spanned during their reign. Abdul Qadir doesn't have very flattering numbers in the West Indies.
I thought Chandrasekhar was a good pick as well, right? But that was 76 series again.
Well, this has all gone pretty bad, hasn't it?
Well, what's Abdul Qadir's record there?
I think he's averaging 38.
3 matches, 14 wickets, averaging 38. Yeah. During that period. So
Yeah. Better wicket-taking option, actually, now that I think about it.
Look, so Yardley's a fascinating cricketer. I did see that record, but I just kind of discounted it because he shouldn't be on this list. But
Maybe we can pick one, right? Surely he played. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have picked one.
I mean, Warne is the player who is part of the team that beats the West Indies in the West Indies. I mean, I think it's probably more fair to pick Abdul Qadir if you just based on that. But Bishan Bedi would have played against them a little bit as well, obviously.
Bishan Bedi has 18 wickets at 25. So
I'll be honest, though, it was the batting numbers as well that kind of made me lean
you don't need more batting, Behram.
We need this team to bat till 10. You know, the West Indies will be ruthless.
So, I mean, Yardley's a fascinating cricketer. Let me just briefly explain it. He was a baseballer. And a little bit like Colin, I think he probably had a similar kind of bowling style to Colin Miller in that he held the ball very differently, probably more for like a curveball than you would for a traditional off break. He sort of comes from nowhere during the World Series cricket. I think he got a contract when he wasn't even considered an Australian player at that point. He did very, very well, but he was called for chucking during that tour. I don't know if you know that.
No, I did not.
So, you know, hey, wherever you want to go. And I think, what tour did he play against the West Indies?
Let me check.
Yardley,
have been
78.
Yeah, there it is.
I think it was a full strength side because I think there's one year where some of the World Series cricketers don't play or are not available or something along those lines. And I think in 78, I still don't think it's the full West Indies side that is playing. I'd have to go and have a look, but yes. So he was called for chucking, and it actually leads to a riot because he was called for chucking with that umpire. Australia refused to play in the next game under that umpire. There was then a dodgy decision given in the following game, which I can't remember if it was Trini or Guyana, and then there was a riot. So Bruce Yardley actually inspired a riot all the way through. But yeah, I think he was a really good athlete, and he was probably one of those cricketers who came to the game very, very late and bowled quick and had his own weird style. I mean, okay, he's in the side, Behram. I mean, you've made your choice. I don't know what to, you know. It's I don't know why you want to do this to yourself, but you have.
I mean, I was also keen on Ravi Shastri, but we didn't need more batting because he's done well with the bat in the West Indies. Even though the wickets haven't been many, right? His average is like touching 50 or whatever. But yeah, you're not wrong. Abdul Qadir might have averaged high, but he took 14 wickets in 3 games, which would have given us more incision, I suppose. And now we don't have that.
Yeah, I like that. But also, I think Shane Warne was kind of on the cusp for me as well. We now need to make a decision on this 11. Yeah. Because Behram's 2 picks, Estelle, have completely derailed this side to an incredible amount. It is funny, and we'll get to the names not in this side in a moment as well. But
yep.
Oh my God, I had already written Abdul Qadir in. I'm just because I was so sure that is who you were going to pick.
Yeah, that's what we thought when Estelle picked Kumble over Mushtaq. I've done something similar over here.
Okay, so our current lineup is Gooch, Gavaskar, Amarnath, Border, Raja, Stewart, Imran, Kapil, Hadlee, Bruce Yardley. It's the only person I have to say both names of so that people know who the hell we're talking about. Waqar Younis and Mark Waugh. So I had to say it with Mark Waugh as well, just in case you got confused which Waugh it was. But what do we do with this side now? Is it just worth dropping Bruce Yardley?
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Batting
a lot
Mark
of people
Waugh,
bowl spin.
Yeah, batting Mark Waugh at 5, moving Raja down to 6, and Stewart at 7.
I don't mind that because we have enough spinners in there who can roll their arm, and we might not need spinners a lot anyway, you know, in this test series.
Well, sure as shit, not going to need fucking Bruce Yardley.
I blame the beard. It's gone, and I've lost my touch.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good excuse. You can say imposter.
Okay, so let's read this team out again. So now it's Gooch, Gavaskar, Border, Raja, Waugh, Stewart, Imran, Kapil, Hadlee, Waqar, and 12th man is Bruce Yardley.
Yeah.
I've got a memory that he was a very good fielder as well, a very athletic fielder. So perhaps what you've done is you have actually mimicked the Great West Indies sides because they often pick Roger Harper as their 12th, despite the fact that he was also accused at times of throwing the ball. And could bat a little bit as well, and was obviously at one stage thought to be the world's best fielder. So in some ways, what you've done is a homage to the Great West Indian side, while also tanking our team for no reason.
There you go. That was always my intention to play that homage. But
right.
anyway, some people who missed out, right? I think
Yeah.
David Gower is really unlucky to not make this
Gower,
team.
yeah.
I don't know how Gower's not in the side, if we're being honest. Again,
I know because Behram has a affinity for the Rajas. He picked Ramesh Raja as one of the best commentators.
That has aged really, really poorly, by the way.
oh my God, I forgot you did that.
Yeah. And I was watching all the stuff going on social media this week.
We need Jessica Bell to go through all the crick picks and rank the top 5 worst picks that each of us have made. When she's going through all this. Yeah, no, oh my God. Yeah, stop picking Rajas, dude. It's enough with the Rajas.
Yeah, I mean, that one, I wish I could go back in time and pick Mark Nicholas because that was what I should have done. I remember. And I intentionally picked Raja to stir a few people up. But anyway, that was bad. Yeah, I mean, Ravi Shastri was on my list, but more so because of his batting, right? Not because of his bowling.
Yeah, no, I think it would have been. I don't know if you needed him in this side now that we have Raja and Waugh and I know Border doesn't bowl much in this side, but if you need a left arm finger spinner, you have that as well. So I don't think you necessarily need Shastri in this side, but he's an interesting one. Jeff Thompson and Dennis Lilly, two. I think they both had bowling averages around 24 to 27 in the West Indies. Again,
Lilly didn't play much over there. I checked.
He didn't because this is the problem with Lilly and Chappell and Rod Marsh. They all miss out because of World Series cricket. So they all miss out. But if you put World Series cricket numbers back in for some of them, and not all of them played in World Series cricket as well, but if you put World Series cricket back in, there is a bit more of a jump in the super tests and everything else for some of them. At least you get more numbers. I would say Ian Botham is an interesting one, because he doesn't really play all that well against the West Indies. And also because we have the other 3 all-rounders in, I don't really know how you fit him in. And then Shane Warne is, it just depends on how you feel about it. He kind of goes over at the end, but he's also the man who kind of ends the reign, right? So whether you want to give that a go or not, I don't know. And then Steve Waugh is the other obvious one I thought that deserved to be in. Is there any other? I still thought Wasim Akram as well. I know he didn't do a lot in the West Indies, but I still think he's...
I mean,
Angus
Javed
Fraser's
in that era,
numbers were really surprising, right? Like, he had 27 wickets at 22.
He
That's
did.
pretty
2
good.
5-wicket hauls.
That's quite phenomenal.
He also never got hit off the square. I think his economy is like 2.5 in those games. The problem is you can't fit Angus Fraser in once you've got Hadlee and Kapil Dev because they're all doing the same. I know he's a slightly different kind of bowler than those two, but it's like Angus Fraser's pretty much going to be a new ball bowler, and those guys have already got the new ball. And so it's like, how do you fit him into that side? I thought Craig McDermott was another one.
Yeah.
Who, when Craig McDermott gets injured for 95, and at the time Australia was like, oh my God, we're still never going to beat this thing because we can't take Craig McDermott back. And it turned out that they won anyway. And that actually changes everything because that's when McGrath gets a new ball and completely takes over. So yeah, McGrath is probably another one that you could have a look at on that list as well. Anyone else that we missed?
I mean, there's some really good players in that era, like Javed, who didn't do well when, they batted in the West Indies. So that was a bit of a shocker for me. And
Martin
I
Crowe
saw a
is
few
probably
other
another
ones. Yeah, Barton Crowe didn't do well over there either. I looked both of those guys up. But yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. This team could win a test match in the West Indies, maybe, in that era.
Yeah, I think this fight's okay. I think this team fight's okay. It probably depends a little bit on reverse swing.
Yeah.
If Imran and Waqar can use reverse swing and Kapil and Hadlee can take early wickets, I think it's okay. And now that we have genuine batting to number 7 and then 3 guys that Hadley's coming in at 10 in this side, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot there to like about the side. And I think he gives him a decent shake. It probably just depends on, it might all depend on Wasim Raja.
And I mean, Jeff Boycott also had a good series in 81. He scored 30, 70, then it's 0 and 1. Then there's 38, unbeaten 104, 40 and 12. So he could have been an outside option to open the batting as well.
Yeah, and always good to have any list where you don't pick Boycott.
We boycotted Jeffrey. Anyway, you guys let us know, or Jarrod, repeat everyone's picks, right, for us? So that they know.
Sorry, the picks. Behram went Border, Kapil, Wasim Raja, oh my God. So random. Estelle went Gavaskar, Gooch, Waqar Younis, Waugh. I mean, she might win this just because that's a good list of 4 names.
Yeah.
I have Imran Khan, Richard Hadlee, Amarnath and Stewart, Alex Stewart.
Yeah, it's a tough one between you and Estelle. I feel like I should just tap out. I'll call bearded Behram to come back and replace this guy, peeled mango, and I guess we'll take it from there. But anyway, you guys let us know who wins this and who has, or who do we miss out on, right? We might have missed out on a few other names. And who do you think you should have made this team? You can give your 12s as well in the comment section below. And yeah, that's all for this episode of Crickpicks. Just a quick reminder, you can go to goodareas.co and bookmark that webpage. That can prove to be your one-stop shop for all the work that we do as part of this team, whether it be written content, videos, or podcasts. We'll be back with another episode of Crickpicks next week. And for us, next minute, because we're recording them now. And yeah, go ahead and have a good day, guys, and a good week. Bye-bye.
If you make any content, Minvo Pro is the tool for you. Take your long format content and cut it and slice it for social media. This AI-inspired weapon will turn your one piece of work into so many clips. Try Minvo.pro now.